Hi, welcome back. You're listening to the Chasing Tone podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm Max.
I'm Brian.
And just because some people are getting tired of it, that's the man behind the tone curtain. Hash brown.
Wrong.
Yeah. Now we got it out of the way.
Okay, so let me ask you about the tone curtain thing.
Yeah.
Does
I know what you're going to ask. This is great.
When you came up with tone curtain, were you thinking that it was like a Wizard of Oz sort of thing? Like, I'm the guy that's, everyone thinks there's this cool stuff that we're doing, but in reality, it's just like, we're just like, and it's good enough, let's sell it.
No, man, I was just riffing. I mean, it actually means absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? It's like to me, it just sounded good, and Tone Chaperone was already taken.
That's true.
That's true, it was, wasn't it? So.
And I just forgot to turn on one of the cameras, so
That's okay.
that's okay. So you just won't have any footage. Okay, sorry. For people listening, they're gonna be like, "Why was that just dead air?" But
It's not an inside joke. We explained it.
yeah,
That's
exactly. Oh yeah, no more inside jokes. Sorry.
Well, and I've actually had several people say, there was some stuff you said that I didn't quite grasp, like the comedy aspect of it. And I was like, I guess some of that is a
Yeah.
little
Well,
bit
sometimes it's just because I'm not funny.
Or genius is misunderstood.
insane.
I'm just saying. I'm gold.
But
That's what your mom told you.
yeah.
Mother, stay out of this, mother.
But no, the tone curtain thing. I have no idea why I said. I just thought it was funny.
I just wondered where it came from. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it has the Wizard of Oz thing, I guess, but I don't think it's. I'm not insinuating that you want to be so introverted that you just want to stay out of it and you don't care about what people think.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was one guy's interpretation of it. So I was like, no, it's pretty far from that. So, but
Maybe I'm the guy behind the waffle iron or something. I don't know.
I wish. And if so, how come we don't have any waffles in here? You've been holding out on me, bro.
Maybe I'm the guy behind the.
You know how I feel about waffles?
let me ask you this though: do you really feel that way about waffles, or do you feel that way about the syrup? Who's the real hero there?
Oh, see, I'm different. I don't like waffles with syrup. With
Really?
cream and chocolate chips.
It's
It's like cake, but for breakfast. See what I did there? Cake.
Yeah, cake. Everything's back to cake.
Oh, my
Okay,
goodness.
so I have an interesting topic that actually came in through the email address podcast@wamplerpedals.com, which please send suggestions, comments, anything. But well, not anything.
Right.
It's got to be safe for work because it is my job. But
We did have a great question. I was looking for it.
yeah,
Where do babies come from?
The stork.
the story.
Cabbage
Oh,
Patch.
wait. Kind of back up and say, because is this from Instagram? Is
It's
that what it is?
Instagram Baby Lopa.
Okay, but this we put out there, hey, is there anything you guys want to?
Yeah.
Any questions you have,
Right.
And he asks these following questions. Max, I'll just let you answer. I'm going to sit back on.
Yeah, okay. So, Max, where do babies come from?
The stork and the Cabbage Patch.
Okay. What is the plural form of platypus?
Platypi.
So it's not platypeople.
No, that's a mutant comic.
Okay. Lastly, why aren't jet skis called motorcycles?
Because cycles have wheels. Genius.
I do really like motorcycle though.
That is great.
From now on, they will always be a motorcycle. I cannot wait for that. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is great. I love
Yeah,
that.
what was that guy's name?
Baby Lopa. So,
Baby Lopa
Yeah.
@Baby Lopa.
Yeah, so get a hold of us, dude. We'll send you a shirt.
Yeah, do it.
So
Cool. So I had this back to the tone thing, right? That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but I had a question come through the help desk that I thought was pretty good. It's more of a topic than a question,
Right.
But I guess I'll kind of word it how he said it. Do you think guitarists are holding back the technology of gear? And what he meant was every time he goes to watch somebody, they always have the vintage gear, and if it's a new amp, well, what's it based on? Or it's a new pedal, well, what's it based on? And of course, you have to know something to compare it to. You know,
Yeah.
if you ask
you
how
do.
something tastes, you know, you want to know something compared to.
Right.
Or it's the age-old question, oh, you're in a band? What kind of music do you play?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yep.
So, but I do understand his point that we are so quick to say that an amp is a Fender or an amp is a Vox.
And I found myself doing the exact
Oh,
same
I
thing.
do too. I'm
Yeah.
just as guilty of it as anybody, if not more guilty.
Right. I know there's been several times I'll play an amp and I'm like, this is really good. Is this more like a deluxe sort of
Yeah.
thing? Or I mean, it's kind of
Yep.
like my frame of reference.
Same here,
You know?
and I take it a step further, and this is so nerdy, but I'll look at the tube complement and base my I'll kind of know what it sounds like based off that. To
It's like
me, to my head.
6L6 and you're like, oh
yeah,
that's
yeah.
obvious.
Like for me, I swear I can. When I play it, I can tell if some amp has EL84s in it. To me, they have to me, that's the most specific sound there is.
Right.
You know, to my ear. Like, I really can't tell KT66s from 34s, you know. I just don't have that much, you know.
We'll get there.
But, you know, but at EL84, I can tell the difference. But, you know, I mean, are you guilty of that too?
Oh yeah. Especially on the phone, I'll talk to customers. It's a large part of my job, and be like, okay, what kind of amp you playing? They'll say, oh yeah, I play Dr. Z, or I'll play something 6L6 bass. So I'm already thinking, okay, I got a Vox, I got a Fender.
Right.
I'll start already like, okay, I kind of have an idea what this sounds like.
Right. And that, for you, especially when somebody says, well, what's this pedal sound like with a Dr. Z? And, you know, that's not the best example because we have a Dr. Z here,
Yeah,
and
we've
we
heard
also
that,
have
yeah.
we also have a Vox. But let's say,
We have just about everything.
yeah, but let's say you didn't have a Dr. Z, that's where your head would go.
Exactly.
And to me, like I had that Moz 38 Senior.
Killer amp.
It sounded nothing like a Vox to me. Maybe it's just the way I had it EQ'd. Maybe it's the way I play.
I think
but-
the cabinets play a big part of that too. The cabinets
Yeah.
and the speakers in those amps.
Yeah.
But
So-
they definitely like what do we have, an 18? Right?
Yeah,
Maz
you have the
18.
18, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got its own sound, you know.
Yeah.
And I like the sound. I actually like it through a bigger cabinet as well.
But yours
it
has
doesn't-
210s, I think.
I think it does in the cabinet.
And I think they're
so.
Alnicos, right?
I
can't remember.
If I recall right, there seems like they have they're Dr. Z branded. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I think they're ceramic though. I thought.
They probably are because I remember I
been
like
so-
the
it's
amp
been-
and
it's
I
been a
hate
long time.
Alnicos.
Yeah, usually I just run it out to a cabinet of some sort. So
Yeah.
you know.
I've borrowed that amp for a couple gigs. That
Oh, you
is-
did. That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot.
that I swear there was a human body buried in it. It was so heavy.
Oh my god.
It's like a Mesa. It's the same way.
It's made out of concrete.
I almost threw up that gig. It's this gig we did on. It was like a riverboat, right? And it's a small riverboat, but you know, big enough to have a band and a
Right.
ton of people and whatever. So first I had to carry this amp like almost half a mile down this boat dock and everything. So when I got there, my arm was almost out of its socket. But we set up, we start playing, and first song in, man, I break my low E string. Who breaks
Oh.
and you know me, I don't even play hard.
Right.
So of course my confidence is shot, and it's only my third gig with this band
Right.
anyway.
And you're probably irritated a little bit
Oh,
by that
of
time.
course.
Because you're like, how am I going to get by without it in my low E?
Yeah, exactly. Luckily,
Yeah.
I was playing with an awesome keyboard player. So
Oh,
yeah,
that helps, yeah.
But I'll never forget the as soon as we started taking off, dude, it was so rocky that I started to get seasick. So I'm like literally, you're swaying, and you feel like you're swaying, but all you're doing is you're trying to stay upright.
Right.
So like, it was the weirdest gig.
So like
ever.
the room looks like it's stationary, and you feel like you're the one that's moving in this room.
and it's imagine that, and then doing 2 75-minute sets like that.
See, I can't do that, man.
Oh man,
I cannot do that.
no.
I can't play like that, but I was like that after a party at NAMM. Back to my hotel. I do believe that was alcohol induced. So.
Did you have to do the thing where you had to stick one foot on the floor?
It's like, please stop spinning.
That used to work for me. Like when I was in college, I'll never forget. I went back to my dorm room and the room was spinning. I don't even know how I got in bed, so I just had to like stick one foot on the floor. So if anybody is out there new to the drinking thing and new to being completely hammered, try it. It helps.
A little left to center.
But that's so far off. But so you know, we always have to base things on things that are familiar, and that goes without saying for everything. But this guy did make a good point, like, and you brought up the Axe effects,
Right.
Like, did you see the and I'm not trying to bring up Wampler but it's what I'm familiar with.
Sure.
So did you see the Brett Kingman demo of the Clarksdale?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he did it all through an Axe Effects.
He did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this guy, Brett Kingman, I mean, I bet most people that are into gear enough to listen to this show know who Brett is.
What is his YouTube?
Burgerman?
Burgerman 666 or
Yeah, something like that.
So,
Or if you just put in
Brett Kingman, you'll find him on YouTube.
And that guy has played every piece of gear imaginable. I mean, it's what he does for a living. He tours, he's a professional musician, but a big part of his thing is he does YouTube demos. And it just struck me as like he was doing the demo and he kind of stopped and he goes, "They're getting really close to bridging that gap, guys." and the thing is, if I heard it from, and this is so bad, and I know I'm going to get ripped apart for this, but surely I'm not the only person that thinks this way. If some shredder dude said that to me, I'd be like, sure. But a guy like Brett Kingman, who I can relate with, and has played
every piece of gear imaginable.
Yeah, a guy like that says that, then you're like, okay, maybe I should take notice.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, in fact, I've often thought, it'd be great just to have an Axe Effects, like
I second, maybe two.
I mean, it'd be great, like for breadboarding purposes, just to have another palette to run it through.
That'd be cool, yeah. Or our offices, is that what you think?
I mean, the general way that we are designing stuff is there's a breadboard that allows us to build circuits quickly without soldering. Just kind of like a wire in here, plug a part in there, and it makes a circuit. So we use that. It goes out to, you plug your guitar into it, you plug that out to an amp, and then, of course, we have all those amps lining up the wall. So you basically just plug it into each different type of amp and you're just measuring to see what happens. Well, what happens when I plug it into a Marshall? What happens when I plug it into a Vox? What happens,
Even
so
you have a little bit...
Even a solid state, solid state.
And you used to have that Line 6 out there, too.
My son's got that.
Your son's got it?
Yeah.
But that's cool. So, I mean, it's... And that's what I always tell people, like, and I can say it confidently, and it's what's so great about when people ask me, like, well, how's this pedal sound through a solid state amp? Does it even make sense to buy it? And, I feel bad because it makes me sound like a salesman, but yeah, it does make sense because instead of buying a $3,000 amp, you can buy this $200 pedal.
Right.
And that's not just specific to your pedals, probably. It's just I'm so familiar with them that I know that they sound good through every amp.
Right. Yeah, and it's not just ours. I mean, there's a lot of...
Right. But if you're
I know for a long time you were swearing by Sean. Lovepedal's Eternity, right?
Oh, I still love that pedal.
Yeah, it is a great pedal.
That pedal. See what I did there? See?
That's what I needed my sound effects.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Sean, just send 2 more Eternities to the office.
Yeah, Sean. Or actually... Send him an Eternity. Send me the Dover Drive.
Oh yeah, the
man.
new Dover Drive.
Yeah, you got it.
Man, those demos sound great.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So Josh, Sean, I'm not joking. I'd love one. Max says, have you heard it? Have you heard this one yet?
Right.
I think I heard it. Was it Josh Smith did the demo?
I think so. It sounded depressingly good.
Yeah. That's what you said about the first time. It was so cool, man. And I don't know if I should. I'll just say it. If anything, it'll make you seem, even more real to people that don't know you. When I first started working here, you're like, "Hey, can you come out to the barn? I want you to try this prototype." And I started playing, and then you grabbed it was the Bogner Blue. What is that? Just what it's called, the Bogner Blue, or forget what it's called.
It's not Ecstasy. Is it Ecstasy Blue?
Maybe I don't know. It's that.
But it's the blue Bogner pedal that. It's like they have a red one, a blue one, and a black one.
Right. Yeah.
Black's the Obershaw, I think.
Yeah.
So it must be like the Ecstasy Blue.
Yeah. I can't remember. But anyways, you were like, "Hey, can you play this for a second?" And keep in mind, I just started working here, Max. So he's like, "What do you think of it?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Man, it sounds great." So I told you, I go, "Dude, it sounds really good." And you go, "I know, it's depressing." And I just thought that was so cool that you were like, because here I am, I don't know why I assumed it, but I assumed that like you wouldn't want to admit that.
Because I'd be like, no, it doesn't. It sounds like crap.
Yeah, it's
I hate it. I hate you.
but no, it's so funny because you're like, man, that sounds good. It's depressing.
Well, I mean, it's,
but inspiring in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I mean, because anytime like I hear a good pedal like that, it kind of pushes you to do more in a healthy, competitive sort of way.
Right.
You're like, wow, that's great, man. I've got to come up with something that's
right.
That I feel is equally impressed by.
Yeah. See, that's cool, man. Because I think you have to have that. Otherwise, you just have a tube screamer and a Klon and a MT2 metal zone
And a fuzz face.
Yeah, and a fuzz face and a big muff. But you know what I mean. There's got to be, which goes back to what's everything based off of, and that's why
which goes back to why are we stuck living in the past?
Exactly,
gear-wise.
Exactly, and that's one thing that I was a little bit afraid of whenever we released the Velvet Fuzz because it's not a fuzz. It's
right.
I mean, what would you agree with this? That the three big ones, I'm sure there's more, but fuzz wise, be the big muff, the fuzz face, and then the tone bender.
I would probably say so. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's others out there. But those are like the Mose Right fuzz and all
right.
that. But those are the three big ones, and people would email me and say, "The Velvet Fuzz, which one is that like?" And I say, well, imagine it's a fuzz face into a cranked amp.
Right.
And then they're like, so what's that mean? I was like, I don't know what to tell you. It's different.
Yeah, sound wise, that's what we're going for.
Yeah, and the thing is too, is it's like sometimes amp builders, I mean, everybody does it to where they go after a sound more than like a bass of a pedal. So, but yeah, going back to being stuck in the past, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
You and I probably more than Brian. Do you even have any vintage amps? I know you used to, but
I forget.
Yeah. I know you have.
I used to have an old deluxe.
Yeah, I mean, like I know Max, he has the Silver Super, right?
Yeah, I got Silver Super. I love it.
And have I ever had any vintage amps, Max?
I don't know. Yeah, you have.
I know.
Princeton, you've had deluxe.
Two deluxes.
Two deluxes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I approach it differently. Like for me, I'm always wanting to see like what our customers are using.
Right.
And there's a portion of them that use some of that stuff. Like if I want a Princeton, I'd be like, Travis, bring over your Princeton.
Right. Right.
Or Max, Max, bring your Super in or whatever.
It's so funny too because this Princeton Reverb, it's a 1965. It's got a new speaker in it. It's got a WGS in it. I forget which speaker. It's orange. I said it right. I said it
orange,
not orange.
It's not
orange.
orange.
Yeah. See, I said it right. I had to think about
perfect. It.
Yeah. But other than that, it's all original. And to me, like, I'm a big Vince Gill fan, and it nails that sound. And to me, that is like, oh man, his clean tone is just. That's it. That's the clean tone.
Right.
And then I brought it over to you. I'm like, dude, you got to check out this amp. And the first time you played it, you're like, yeah. I don't dig it. The first thing, just like when I brought over one of Ben Fargen's amps, the first thing you did, I was like, man, listen how clean and beautiful this amp is. The first thing he did was he grabbed a Telecaster, put it on his bridge pickup, and turned the volume on the amp to 10 on a blackface style amp. He just cranked it as hard as he could go, and then just started. And he's cranking on it. He's like, I don't dig it. And I'm like, what? What? How would you know?
Probably because it was a Telecaster.
I do like that amp for certain things.
Right.
So, I mean, just, I don't know. When I buy amps, it's because I'm wanting to like design a circuit that works with an amp that I'm finding out customers are using right now or something.
Right. Or on the flip side, what I've noticed about you is you really like that Port City Pearl because it is such a clean response.
Yeah, because
it's almost like a flat response.
It is.
If you want that.
I mean, to me, it's like I always tell people it's the perfect pedal amp because there's some amps that just, it doesn't matter what overdrive you put in front of them, they still sound pretty similar. The Port City, the Pearl at least, to me is like an amp that you can hear all the little intricacies of every different pedal. Yeah, it's just so it's so neutral sounding. It doesn't have like a. It's
maybe
not like,
that's what I should say more than flat because flat.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I mean flat when I mean like EQ wise.
Yeah,
like
not a negative
not
way.
Flat,
yeah,
as in like just lays there
right.
kind of
It's
thing.
it's like the amp you have. It's like it sounds like a really good Fender amp.
Yeah,
where the Port City just sounds. It sounds like a really good amp to put pedals in front
Right.
of, to me.
And the thing is, and I'm not saying it's not a great amp, so please don't take it that way.
No,
but,
not at all.
Especially if, Daniel, they're great amps, but that Fargent amp I have, it's got this this third dimension quality to it.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
just, it has this and man, it's going to sound so cliche, but it has this magic to it, man. And it's you can feel it. It's just perfect. So whenever I go into an amp that when you have set up to basically be a pedal machine,
right?
You know what I mean? It's but if I did spend some time with the Port City, and it has that magic too, but
it's just in a different way.
It's in a different way.
It's kind of like your Princeton, though. I mean, for some stuff, it's great, but
Yeah.
then you put a different pedal in front of it. You're like, whoa!
Well, I will
my
say
goodness.
it doesn't take pedals that well.
Right.
It really doesn't. It fizzes. But man, that clean tone with just a compressor in front of it. Oh, it's.
I kind of feel that way about AC30s.
Really?
I kind of like the clean aspect of it, but I don't like them with a lot of pedals in front of them.
Yeah, and here we go back to what's the amp based off of. But I played a Bad Cat Trim Cat 30, and that amp still to this day probably has I'm not gonna say the nicest clean tone, but to me the coolest, most unique clean tone. And it sounded just like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scott Henderson.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, I think the name of the record was Tore Down House, but man, it nailed that tone.
Yeah.
but then again, that amp probably wouldn't take pedals that well. And that's the thing. It's so bad telling your boss this whenever you work for a pedal company, but if I found the right amp, I wouldn't use any dirt pedals. None. I just use my volume on my guitar.
Really? See,
Yeah.
I get too bored with stuff. I gotta have those different
no.
flavors.
No way, dude. I don't know. The problem is I've noticed it's easier to find that amp with humbuckers because you can drive an amp harder at lower volumes.
Right, I can see that.
So my thing is I have that kind of Marshall clone thing that I've been working on, and which is frustrating the crap out of me because some nights it'll sound awesome, and other nights it sounds terrible in the same room with the same gear.
Maybe you need to refill up the mojo meter.
I know, right? They need some more pixie dust. But yeah, that amp's so frustrating.
But we were talking about all these old vintage amps and how the Axe FX is something totally new that people are grabbing onto.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it seems like it's getting so close, and I kind of feel like AmpliTube, software-wise, is approaching this too. I mean, some of the stuff is so realistic that it's almost scary.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's for example, the Electro-Harmonics with the B9.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely not modeled after anything
Right.
that's been done before, right?
Yeah, and they even have one that's for harmonica and
so
stuff too.
it seems like the Axe FX and the what's the company that makes Torpedo?
The two notes.
Two Notes.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Two notes?
yeah, that's it. So I mean, it seems like we're slowly getting there.
Right.
I mean, people are starting to,
embrace it a little bit.
Yeah, embrace it a little bit. That's the right
or
word.
maybe just tolerate it. Maybe not quite embrace it.
There's some people that swear up and down by Axe FX. Though,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, and like what Brett was saying, he said the biggest thing about that is the cabinet selection. He said when you can go in there and really find which cabinet to use, then that totally brings all those settings, to life.
And I know a guy like Dweezil Zappa, I think, uses a couple of them. And I mean, a lot of people like to use those with pedals because they take pedals so well. Which is not. I mean, usually there's a lot of those emulating from the past, at least.
Yeah.
A lot of the emulating amps didn't do so well in that capacity.
Yeah, I ought to. I'm writing this tune or whatever, right? And I wrote it while my wife was asleep right next to me. I'm laying in bed with AmpliTube. And man, the tones sound killer. Right? Well, I think I sent it to you, and you were like, you couldn't even tell.
Right, it sounded great.
Yeah, and then I have a buddy who's total gear nerd, and I sent it to him, and then he was like, "Oh man, this sounds great." He didn't comment on the tone one way or the other. He was just like, "Yeah, this sounds really good." And then I told him, and he was like, I hate hearing that because I really liked the tone.
It's like he wanted to believe it was an old vintage amp.
Yeah, and when I told him that, and what I actually did is, I think I did this for you too. I took it into Logic, and I bypassed AmpliTube, and it just sounded like clink, clank,
Yeah.
clink, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you put a little, I was using like their JCM 800. They don't call it that, obviously.
Right,
But
right.
their JCM 800, and then their diode drive. That's what it's called. And then I used the Univibe and a Tape Echo. And it just sounded killer, man.
So the moral of the story is we're going to start putting Macs in our pedals.
yes.
And they'll be $3,000 from here on out. And they'll be this big.
Not Macs, Macintoshes.
Macintoshes.
Gotcha.
Apple.
I was like, one, I will not fit in an enclosure that big. And two, how can I make it sound any better? I was so confused. I'm like, just shake your head and say yes, yes. Yeah, that sounds great.
MACS.
Yeah,
Not
Max,
MAX.
not Max.
Dude, you need to add an extra X. Max. Like TJ Max.
TJ Mees.
Yeah, TJ Me. Yeah, he calls it TJ Me.
TJ Me.
What's
Wait,
my,
hold on.
what-
We got TJ Maxx is a clothing store here in
Oh
America.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, no, they have it. They have it in the UK.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, it's TK Maxx.
Okay.
But
So, anyways, that's
same
the
thing.
inside joke there.
Yeah, and also the big movie theaters, you know, that show 3D and they're like 2 stories high. What do you call those, Max?
IMAX. IMAX. You Travis. You Brian.
IMAX. Yeah,
IMAX.
they're called IMAX theaters. So every time,
We drive past it.
I've known you for 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And you know we hang out a lot, right? And every time we drive by an IMAX, still he just goes IMAX, and still I just shake my head and
Crack up a little.
in disgust. Okay, yeah, I think it's
You
funny,
crack up a little.
but yeah, I do crack up. So you know the thing, I have to admit though, and this is another reason why you should buy one, is I've never played an Axe Effects.
I haven't.
I haven't
Well,
either.
I actually have at an amp show. You guys made this weekend. Surely.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
may be
that-
out there at LA amp shows
Yeah.
this weekend.
But yeah, like to be honest, I don't know anything about them as far as like, do you need a power amp for them, or does it have the power in it? You know, this is stuff I have no idea. Isn't that terrible? I have no idea how it works.
I don't know that
Axvac,
much,
send us
but-
3 Long Range Q.
Come on, Fractal.
P.O. Box 2122.
Let me get that Axe Effects one time, right?
Where's my sound effects board?
You do. I'm gonna bring you a MIDI controller.
We're like 20 episodes
you
in
know,
now.
You know those like old little Casio keyboards are about
Yeah,
8 inches long.
Yeah, they have the
Yeah.
I thought you mean like the ones like you blow into and then the keys on it. And singles.
I do have a little MIDI controller. It's like a little keyboard.
You have to
That-
label everything.
Well, that's okay. I've never used it ever, and I have it. So I'll just use Sharpie marker,
Boom.
clown horn.
Clown horn.
You know what I mean? And then fart noise that you always do. yeah. But that's
Perfect.
this sound of disgust. So you know, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on what you think as far as are we, and when I say we, I mean the general population of all gear nerds. Are we holding back technology? Are we so tied up on tubes and the way they sound and moreover the way they feel? I hate to admit it, but if somebody put a fractal, I'd like to think I could tell, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool to do something like that just between us, you know, and see if you can tell, see if I
Right.
can tell. I like to think I could tell in the feel. You know, because that's what everybody says, and that's what they say they love about the Pinnacle is the keyword sag.
Yeah.
And they say with the fractal stuff, sometimes it's harder to hear it. It's there, but so I don't know.
I don't have enough experience to say
Me
whether
neither.
they're there.
And I've also heard the only other complaint I've heard is, you know, and then but Brett said that he fixed this issue and with experience with the cabs, but the actual sound of moving air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
feel
Absolutely.
of moving air. So
That's
yeah.
a hard one for I think everyone
Cab
that's ever
sound.
designed any sort of cab emulation thing is always trying to figure out how to mimic that sound and feel.
Yeah, and because that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm not the engineer, but you would think.
Me either.
Yeah, that's why you hire him. But like Jake, you know, Jake could give you the math on it. You know,
Yeah.
Jake's a guy that works for Brian and
Right.
real bright kid. I can call him.
And
a
I would
kid.
say change that to 5 kilohertz.
yeah,
And he'd go,
Yeah, on a computer. Yeah. So
Or you can just move this capacitor.
yeah, but so I'd love to hear what you guys think. You know, your opinions on that. Feel free to shoot them to podcast@wamplerpedals.com. Or if you have general nonsense and you just want to flood somebody's inbox, Max at Wamplerpedals.
No.
That's awesome. Also, check us out on Facebook.com/Chasing Tone Podcast. And our Instagram is Chasing Tone Podcast.
Is that up and going now?
It's up and going. It just needs content.
Really?
Yeah.
So send us your pictures.
Yeah, send us your pictures, right? Yeah.
So we can use them.
Safe for work pictures.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, we'll get on that. We'll get that updated. So, I'll leave anything out?
No, nothing I can think of.
All right, Max?
I'm good.
All right. For Max and Brian, I'm Travis. Thank you guys very much for listening.